Here we
You blew it! You blew it!
This man was a bona fide scrub.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh, poor you.
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you. I make you laugh, I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
stupid.
Good evening or afternoon, depending on who's listening. Either way, this is the Participation Trophy Podcast, and this is the 34th time we're doing this shit, gentlemen. And if this is your first time listening to us doing this shit, I am your neglectful host of this here program, a semi-Americanized, self-conscious descendant of Afghan refugees that goes by the name of Abdullah. Alongside me, that is virtually Jamal Smith, who has described himself to be unapologetically black.
Don't you ever forget it.
A renowned artist of internet memes. Shameless plug, man. Please follow Jesus, Jamal on Instagram. It's tons of fun over there.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah. Zain Zaidi, the Lord of Cookie Dough, an introverted extrovert trapped inside Bomani Jones's Twitter block list.
Slugger.
there's always a lot on my man's chest, man. Hang in there, bro. And finally, our resident foreign exchange student who has come to this country looking to specialize in the art of muff diving. Shout out to Van Wilder, if anybody caught that reference. Yeah. Anyways, we got a
Japanese
stack.
Hebrew correspondent.
There's a whole bunch, man. I gotta save him for future shows, man. So.
I'm just like the Wizards. I'm the United Nations.
There you go. Speaking of the Wizards,
now?
Speaking of the Wizards, their season is over, thank God. Wish we could say the same about Scott Brooks' tenure with the Wizards, but of course the front office has to wait a few weeks to grow a pair of balls before they can make a decision on him, it seems. But speaking of the Wizards season being over, we've got some final participation trophies to hand out. That shit's going to be actually great, so don't touch the dial. The rest of the NBA playoffs has been fun as well. We've got some Game 7s out of the way, some Game 1s underway, and plenty of participation trophies to go around. A listener discretion advisory. We are a partial team of LeBron haters. So please use your earmuffs as necessary. We'll be talking some boxing, of course. The Mayweather Logan Paul fight exceeded the expectations of many. Zain, our resident boxing philosopher of the utmost profound, has his thoughts on it. In theater, HBO our favorite HBO series of all time, and of course in detention, we'll close out this bitch. And if you can't guess what type of people we got up in there this week, then this must be your first time listening to the show. So first things first, I got some grievances to get off my chest, man. And I meant to pencil this in for last week when it was actually the 100-year anniversary to the date, the horrifying events of the Tulsa Massacre. I wanted to bring this discussion here for obvious reasons. One, we are a show that gives a fuck. And B, because there's some very bold footnotes that I drew as it pertains to the events of 1921 in Tulsa. Footnotes that kind of reveal or probably reemphasize so much truth about how much the sheer racism of this country has refused to be suppressed. As we know, Tulsa, 1921, it was, May 31st through June 1st. A falsely accused man by the name of Dick Rowland, a shoe shiner, was accused of raping or sexually assaulting an elevator girl in a building nearby. That's all it took. He was sentenced to lynching. There was a protest outside of that area, protesting lynching. White mobs came in. The rest was history. And over the next 2 or 3 days, they ransacked houses, looted businesses, indiscriminately shot and killed Black people. I believe that there's an estimated unofficial number of about 300 dead. Many of us know about it at this point. We could talk about the specific horrors of the massacre. I've decided to take a slightly different angle. My grievance here is particularly against what I call the naivety of white people. It's the sort of naivety.
Not you guys. Not you guys. You guys are good.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Not all.
Listen to
white.
the podcast. You go with me.
Not all white, but you hate to speak in general terms, but it's kind of general terms.
The people involved.
The people involved, but the people that have certain beliefs, it comes from a place of naivety. And when you use that word in this specific context, we're not talking about being genuinely naive and just thinking everything's hunky-dory, right? It's naivety that's used as a tool by certain white folks to suppress the discourse of racial inequality or to counter any sort of awareness on any given racial issue. It's like, oh, that happened so long ago. Things have changed now. Things have gotten better. And I get the notion of progressiveness. There has been a lot of progress. When you tie that concept into the 1910s and 1920s, right before the massacre happened, I mean, that era was what, 60 years removed from the end of the Civil War, right? And based on the chain of American behavior as we've seen it in response to any racial issue, one can strongly assume that at that time there was that similar notion of, circling amongst many communities that things have gotten better since the Civil War, since things have changed. Slaves are free now, everything's fine. And then Tulsa happens, and it was over built-up tension for years in Oklahoma, right? It wasn't something that just happened overnight. Right. There was a lot of conflict with the job market. White soldiers were coming home from World War I, and there were no jobs because the predominantly Black demographic in that area, they were doing well. And all it took was one excuse, one scapegoat, one false accuser, and triggers were pulled, neighborhoods were leveled, and folks at that time had to be reminded, ain't shit change, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And my point is that, you fast forward today and there's a similar point. There's a similar notion. We're 60 years removed from the civil rights era, from segregation, from mass lynchings. And folks continuously are being reminded of racial injustice. And what's the notion? Oh, it's not that bad. It's okay. Blacks have been given their rights. They're doing fine. They're successful, right? And going back to Tulsa, there's still living grandparents from that time who are sharing those horrific experiences. That's how we came to know about it. And Jamal, I mean, the point here is the audacity of certain people in this country to continually ignore and flat out deny America's undying intolerance for racial equality.
Yeah. And if you look at the history of the Tulsa Massacre seemed to get a lot more recognition. I mean, it really didn't get brought into the history book, so to say, until I think like the 70s. But the process by which it was brought to America's attention was challenging enough. I mean, it took a lot of kind of hand wringing from a historian to bring it to local publications and kind of get it out there. But once it did, just kind of to your point, shine light on a very, very dark part of America's history. You look at what the American dream is supposed to mean, whether you're an immigrant or you're native born or what have you. It's supposed to be about, got kind of two pillars of the American dream are building, equality in all people, right? And then also we want to grow our wealth through a capitalist free market system. There, every indication that the Black Wall Street, quote unquote, that populated that part of the downtown Tulsa did just that in a very free and open way, right? We had probably the largest at that time conglomerate of, really upper to highly educated upper class Black people, doctors, lawyers, bankers, so on and so forth. And we will never see, or we will never know what it's like, what it could have been long term had that, that kind of dark couple days in history happen. My problem is, equality, and this is something we face today as a society, is equality doesn't mean, and equity doesn't mean the same thing to different classes of people. We have a very sharp divide in the country now, and it seems to be that chasm seems to be getting wider, almost by the month or by the day. And if you are in a position of power, in this case, it's basically was asymmetric warfare because the whites that attacked the Blacks were much, better armed, larger in number and all that stuff. If your idea of equality is very different from those that you seek to kind of keep in their place, this is kind of this perpetual motion of of kind of discontent within the country. And a lot of that stuff is what we see today. So I'm glad again that it's getting the attention it's supposed to. I remember reading about the Tulsa Massacre years ago and hearing that people that lived in Tulsa and in the state of Oklahoma didn't even know this happened. You know, the fact that we had such a horrific event and it didn't even come through in textbooks or anything. It's stunning. It's stunning. And there have been, there's a similar incident, I believe, in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I want to applaud the Biden administration, obviously, for, taking time to speak from Tulsa and commemorate the event and, and continue to shine light on, what again was a horrific atrocity. We can't move forward on things until we actually know what preceded it. Every event has context. We need to explore those and talk about it. And we can recognize that it was a dark period in American history, but it's still important not to forget something that's poignant.
Well, I think the important thing is that one thing that you mentioned, it just took so long for it to surface and to create some sort of awareness about what happened. And I remember hearing here and there, just kind of seeing the name Tulsa and a massacre, but never really, it wasn't brought to my face to the point where I actually kind of said, hey, what is this about? I think it was more so last year, especially around the George Floyd time, where the Tulsa story came out hardcore and people started to really understand what it was about. And obviously, the 100-year anniversary was looming as well. And so people were talking about it more. And, going back to the whole omission and the eradication of what you said was what could be considered one of the most single darkest events in this country's racist history. And Zane, I wanted to bring up The Wire in one certain context here, because obviously you're an avid viewer of the show. And one of the reasons why you got so attached. One of the reasons I've never seen it 10 times, you mean, right? Maybe 8 times.
8, yeah.
One of the reasons why you grew so attached to the show is because it made you very passionate about what you learn about the American system, right, from that show. And obviously, there's a big contrast in what that situation involved and what we're talking about here. But in regards to how this country operates and controls its own citizens, in terms of what they know and what they learn in school, and then at the same time operating against their own citizens, right? This whole massacre was locally sanctioned, right? I mean, they were provided weapons, and basically, it just reinforces the truth of this of what's within this corrupted system. America can basically do whatever the fuck they want to whomever the fuck they want, and moreover, it can control what you know, what you can do about it, and what you know about it, right?
Definitely. Yeah, no, I mean, definitely, just like you're saying, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. I started to think about it from that perspective of, internal directives in terms of hidden agendas when it comes to, whether it's police forces, whether it's our institutions, whether it's the media. And we live in such a crazy time where it's like, for a majority of our lives, it's been about not giving us the full story, right? Or neglecting or omitting details or stories. And now, it's kind of been, even though we made some sort of progress in finding things out, like now the new thing is, I'm not saying this is calculated, but now it's misinformation, right? And it's not directly related to Tulsa or, civil rights or anything with race, but there's just so many different mechanisms built into what we view on a day-to-day basis. And I began to think back in terms of school, like what I learned and what I remembered, right? And without even putting a spin on it, I remember, okay, we maybe read a page about Marcus Garvey, right? I remember learning about Martin Luther King, right? I know that Rosa Parks was, the lady who didn't give her seat up on the bus, right? That's like, in my memory, it's like 2 pages, right? And then, in like just looking back, I remember, okay, they had a little bit about Malcolm X, and Malcolm X was, Martin Luther King was nonviolent. Malcolm X, wasn't afraid to wield that, right, in whatever way. Frederick Douglass, I remember, this guy invented peanut butter, like, just fucking like random tidbits and shit, right? And it's like, oh, Harriet Tubman freed the slaves, and then like that's it, right? That's pretty much all I remember learning about Black history, right? And there's always like there's a famous Chris Rock bit where he's just like, The only shit I remember learning, Martin
Martin Luther King.
Right? Yeah. What's the capital of Zaire? Martin Luther King. Who's who freed the slaves? Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
Who was the lady that didn't give her seat up on the bus?
Martina Luther King.
Yeah. Are you sure it was a woman?
Are you sure it was a woman?
Martina Luther King, right? So, and just looking back at that, like, it's just like, okay, we'll give you a few tidbits and then we'll basically tell you, little things like, oh, well, Martin Luther King was, so-and-so. Well, they fucking hated Martin Luther King when he was alive, right?
Yeah.
They shot him in the fucking face.
Yeah.
Right?
Called him a communist, just completely destroyed his life, yeah.
Nobody loved Muhammad Ali when he was alive, okay? He fucking it was, he did this, he did that, he's divisive, he's all this and this and that, right? And now we like to look back and say, just kind of reflect, but not really give anything back, right? Like, oh, these are the great, Black Americans that we honor, but that's pretty much it. That's all you fucking get. Fuck you, right? So, it was funny because, not funny, but Tom Hanks actually wrote a piece in the New York Times a couple of days ago, and he was basically discussing how he has been an avid historian, right? And he's, in addition to just, basic education in college and grade school and community college, and he's basically discussed how he's always, turned towards documentaries first. He's always studied history. And he was astonished to find out that he only learned about the Tulsa Massacre about a year ago, right? Over 1 year ago when it was written about in the New York Times. And it flipped his whole shit. He was just, and he basically discussed, some of the same things, how we discussed these prominent Black figures, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, and those who accomplished much in spite of slavery, segregation. And he basically began to go into, how these subjects are neglected. And it's like for the stupidest shit, right? It's like white guilt, right? We don't want people to feel bad, right? So we're just going to forget all this fucking shit happened, right? Yeah. Your life doesn't matter. Your feelings, your feelings don't matter, but these people's feelings matter, even though this has already happened, right? And you've already suffered the consequences. You're still dealing with the reverberations of what's happened, right? And he's also discussed how, the film industry has tried to take pride in kind of uncovering historical events, but they've never really done it towards Black culture as much, right? At least historically. There's always movies about, world wars, and there's, other Pearl Harbor and other historical events. And he also pointed out how, pretty much up until recently, like he mentions Watchmen and Lovecraft Country, and how, there are forms of media and art that are finally kind of shedding light on the terror and
on
realities that
uncomfortable truths. Yeah, absolutely.
Uncomfortable truths, the shit that just makes you just like, that was hard to watch.
Right. Because we get enough, I hate to call it like the safe Black cinema when it comes to Black historical figures. Stuff like I forgot the number of the women that work for NASA that were mathematicians, and movies like Red Tails, very safe kind of paint by. I'm not in any way like stepping on them, because I think they're important, obviously, and they're
but they don't make you uncomfortable.
They don't expose this types of.
They just show positive aspects of African Americans in history without, what I'm saying, without any sort of nuance.
It's always like an aspiring musician or something, right? That kind of just made.
It's a fucking participation trophy.
It is.
Yeah.
It's what it is.
Right. That's a very good point.
Right. So, and he, Tom Hanks basically goes on to say, like, there's anything that we've known, like, whether it's, the World War II and how it was won despite segregation, institutionalized racial segregation, right? How they put 12 people on the moon, white men on the moon, while Black people couldn't vote, right? Or, just basically that we are part of a system where our elected officials basically will systematically lie to us, right?
And let me jump in real quick. I don't mean to stretch this out too much, but
I'm done.
The current reflection of this is it's happening on in two particular ways that right now. The first is how the 1619 Project, which is something rolled out by the New York Times, got trampled on by conservatives. Why? Because it exposed ugly truths about slavery and where our story actually as a country like truly began. It didn't start with a flowery, we sat down in, Philadelphia and wrote something up and had a bunch of people sign it. It started with slavery. It started with the backs of Africans that got, pulled to this country and forced to work. So we saw there's a professor, and her name escapes me. She teaches at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, who was up for tenure, and she was denied because a conservative movement started to push back against her because Nicole Hannah-Jones, because she taught the 1619 Project. They thought it was too much, right? And I think the person who the journalism building is named after had people behind him that said, no, actually, we don't really care for that. So I'm sorry, but she was offered a 5-year extension, but she wasn't offered tenure, which she was totally qualified for. The other thing going on is, I'm sure I heard about, there's drum beating every week on critical race theory, something very similar that contextualizes American history and American story. And there are conservative states, red states all around the country who are banding together to make sure this shit does not end up in curriculum. We can't contextualize the present without going back to the past.
Yeah.
Just because you don't like it and makes you uncomfortable doesn't mean that the story doesn't go away. But to continually deny younger generations the stories, how the fuck can we get anywhere? That's my thing.
Yeah. I mean, the wildest part of this for me is just to be able to omit such a large part of history for so many decades. Thankfully, we live in a relatively woker society where nothing much escapes anymore. It's going to catch up to you. It's going to be, awareness is going to be brought to it. We mentioned Tom Hanks. Neil, I know Russell Westbrook recently produced a documentary about the Tulsa Massacre. Obviously a strong contingent in Oklahoma history, at least with sports. It aired on the History Channel. I saw the trailer. Were you able to actually watch it or no?
So unfortunately, I don't have any cable provider access to log in and watch that. So I haven't found a way to find it and watch it just yet, but I'm sure I'll find a way to do so. He actually, was the executive producer on that documentary, around 90 minutes long. And obviously, he has a deep connection to Oklahoma, spent, pretty much a decade of his NBA career there, really getting, in touch with the community there. And, just recently named today one of 10 finalists for the NBA's season-long Community Assist Award. Even in his short time in DC, he was trying to find ways to, give back. And I think, like you said, it's starting to come out more and more is starting to be known about the event and the massacre through these tellings of, first-person, interviews with some of the survivors. And it will certainly be something that opens and enlightens, future generations. Like you guys are talking about, I'm not that far removed from learning American history and like K through 12 grade school and all that stuff. And I could never even tell you, I was like, this is something that happened. I would never learn that, taught that in school. I don't think I probably even learned much about it until maybe even after college history and, just seeing it because other people are sharing it and things like that. So it's definitely something like you guys have already touched on. We can't continue to just bury it down and act like it didn't happen just because some people feel bad about it and, think it puts a poor light on their country. Well, that's the reality of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And kudos to Russ for putting that out there. And Jamal, like you alluded to, you can't change the present without knowing what preceded it. And that's the important thing here. And so I'm glad that it's being brought to light. We'll continue researching on it and try to figure out a better way forward. Listen, I need a fucking cigarette after that stressful ass conversation, man. Or better yet, we could keep the stress going and head on over to a new segment I've built for us. This is a place where we can all air out our biggest grievance together. That's right. Welcome to the winery with an H. As you know, we here at the Participation Trophy Podcast use this platform as a safe space to air out all the things that piss us off, or just to whine about the bullshit in our life, or maybe your life. And this week's special on the wine menu, a room temperature mason jar of cicada sangria, infused with the succulent guts and juices from the smashed cicadas right off the fucking windshield of a box truck speeding down I-66.
Way to paint a picture.
It's funny because it's true.
It's funny because it's true. Yes, the cicadas are out and about in full swarm. Listen, hold on. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Please pour me a glass right there. Take a taste of this. Yeah, these taste like the cicadas that are ruining my 5-year-old daughter's outdoor birthday plans for the end of this month. We can't do shit outside anymore.
You can't.
Especially now with these naturistic ass kids. The ones in your neighborhood who will grab all the cicadas and just put them all on their arm like sleeve tattoos. And
run on people, yeah.
Yeah, and then run up to the adults. My wife starts screaming hysterically. Yeah, baby, we do a McDonald's play place this year. Say, Jamal, how are these little bitches affecting you and your kids, man?
We don't have any down here in Woodbridge, not where I am at least. So
Oh.
they're up closer to my son's school,
Wow.
which is in kind of the
Wow.
older
Fucking
part of
moved
Woodbridge.
from the fucking. I moved from the
Yeah,
hood
what-
to the fucking nice area.
It all comes back.
And
full
now you don't
circle
have
on this
cicadas?
podcast.
This
All those
this
early
neighborhood
podcast
was
Woodbridge jokes, yeah.
this neighborhood was also built in 07. There are no like really
There
no
you go,
trees
yeah.
in my neighborhood, so
Yeah.
I think whatever was around here probably got covered up or just destroyed when they did construction. But I did go up to my mom's house in PG on Saturday, and bro, let me tell you, I got the first cicada hit my windshield as I was about to go over the Wilson Bridge. Like the shit was flying low, and it like drifted over the Jersey Wall. Like I just saw it coming, and that shit hit my windshield. It's like a fucking body got thrown on it. Like the guts just splattered. Like the old like in Living Color intro, they would like dump the paint on the screen. Like that's how my shit was. This big white. It's still crusted up on there, but it's huge, like just fucking splattered. And I got one on the other side. I got to my mom's house, man. They were all over the sidewalk, and she lives the back of her house goes up against like a heavily wooded area, and just the sound of that shit, like that screech, and like they were landing on the like all on the hood of my car, and like around my feet. Some were trying to get in the garage when I was walking in. Them shit's the worst. I don't remember it being this bad.
Like fucking bill collectors and shit.
Like you're talking about your car insurance. Oh my god, man. So, and my mom told me that apparently they're not at their peak yet.
No, it's next. Yeah.
No, they're still here.
They're saying that they showed up on the Baltimore weather map.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was fucking driving the other day, and the same thing. And one hit it was the first time I thought a bird shit in my car, and I'm like, how did a bird shit on my windshield at that angle if I'm going like 70 miles per hour? And I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? And now I got a new car, so like I was already getting car washes like every 10 days.
Right.
And now my shit's fucked. They're in my grill. They're on my headlights. They're on my fucking windshield.
So we talk about the noises and all that shit. Do you guys know the scientific backstory to all this shit? Why they exist?
No,
they're here just to
tell
fuck,
us.
right? No. That noise that they're making.
Yeah, they're here to breed.
It's a mating call. They're here to breed. All they're doing is fucking and dying.
Yeah.
Sounds like underground.
What a beautiful life. Underground. Sounds
What's
like
your plans for this weekend? Fucking and dying.
Yeah, fucking and dying, man. Hey, I left my porch light on the other night, and I peered through the little window in my front door, and I just see like this entire orgy on my screen door.
Oh my god!
I thought those motherfuckers go to bed like right at dusk, because I don't really hear them after dark. But apparently, if they see light, like any other insect or fucking they'll be attracted to that.
I mean, if I ever got a fucking week to live, I'm not sleeping.
Nah, man, I'm getting
I'm
in.
gonna figure out who I'm getting my nut off into, where I'm gonna die, and get my last words. I'm not fucking sleeping.
Yeah. And speaking of that windshield shit, man, that windshield bukkake we were talking about, like you can't even wipe that shit
crazy.
off.
This shit does not come off.
It doesn't come off.
Does not come off.
I emptied like half my reservoir. Shit didn't come off.
Yeah.
We got to find a way to use like the remains for some sort of like, you're just like an infomercial. Like, you know how they like ShamWow, or they have like that the little black shit that covers up like holes. Like whatever that shit, like glue. It's gonna be the new glue.
Yeah.
We found a sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine if like we lived in a world where like killing insects was like a crime, like murder, and they didn't know about cicadas? It should be fucked.
No, yeah.
I had
catch like 10 manslaughter charges and shit on your way to work.
It was like it's like a fucking biblical plague outside. Like I've seen places way worse in this area.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how high up you are. I have a 23rd floor gym, 23 floors up, and they're everywhere in the mother.
Yeah.
I live in the woodiest fucking area in Centerville, right? Like there's a fucking big ass tree inside my 50 square foot backyard, right? And half that's just taken up by the tree. And then there's a mini forest of trees behind that outside our boundary. And so we get every insect. I have a general insect issue around my house. Like we get Moxie, you heard of Moxie,
what is that?
The pest control service. They come to your house. Straight up serial killer looking motherfuckers that show up to your house.
Serial killer of insects.
It works. It's a little steep. It's $150 a month, but for a house like in my location, it's absolutely necessary.
No, if you live out in the sticks like that, you need every type of pest protection.
So Woodbridge, I'm trying to think of Woodbridge visually. It's not very woody where you live.
Not in my neighborhood because it's
intuitive, huh?
there's like townhouses, condos, and apartments in my
It's
neighborhood.
a mix. Yeah, I've seen both.
Yeah.
Like what you
So
said.
there's really no space for shit. So
Are they
we don't
ever
have
gonna
any
finish Route
cicada.
1?
Huh?
Are they ever going to finish Route 1? Like,
No,
it
of
gets
course
worse.
not.
The
Of course not.
construction it
Yo,
gets worse.
Route
Like,
1 is the most disgusting shit
Yeah.
I've seen in my life.
it,
I don't even tell people to
progressively
get to
got
my house
worse.
that way. Like, just take the next exit, just in the traffic.
No. Yeah,
Like
take
I
Occoquan
only
Road all the
see
fucking way up.
regression. I only see like
Bridge.
regression. I see more boulders broken. I
If
see
you
more,
are
like-
going down a road and it's like nothing but independent like restaurants,
yeah,
that's usually not a good sign.
Yeah.
Like independent restaurants
and like a standalone Foot Locker. Like
yeah,
outside the mall.
standalone Foot Locker, yeah.
Yeah.
Little
Pizza
Caesars.
Hut that was converted to a church,
yeah.
and then like a
that's still
department store you didn't know existed anymore. Like the fuck,
Yeah.
a People's? Like I didn't know that shit was still around.
People's is people still there? I used to
People's?
love going shopping at People's. My mom used to take me there all the fucking time.
Wait, this is not the store formerly known as People's Drug. You're talking about
No,
People?
no. People's is a clothing store.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
Peebles. Your mom used to shop there probably.
It was like Macy's. Yeah.
My mom took
It was,
me there.
you know, it was where the Denny's was. Remember the Denny's was,
Yeah.
and that fucking
Yeah.
walk like a BB&T bank and like Big
Yeah.
Lots. The fucking
Yeah.
what the fuck that is.
Oh,
Big
I think
lots.
Neil was tonight years old when he figured out that CVS used to be called People's Drug. Huh?
People's drugs
Oh,
and shit.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Remember the jingle CVS used to be People's Drug.
Damn, deep pull.
Fuck was charging that in marketing.
People, yeah.
Just change it to CVS.
What else about this fucking cicada shit?
Y'all are
60
in the.
So we have to
y'all
talk
are in the
about.
bad part. I'm chilling because all I'm in is the city area.
Where you at?
So it's in downtown
Okay.
Silver Spring. It's not like we have
Oh.
any of them really.
Oh, see, I
might
just
get
knew
it.
you were getting hit up. Damn. Okay. Well,
Nah,
you
I
dodged
might
it
get
too.
a-
I
I
really
get a
never.
fraction of what you guys
I
get.
never really knew where you lived, like exactly. I knew you were in Maryland, but I thought you were like in.
We all know Neil is in a hostel. I mean, look at that. Look at that surrounding.
Hostile.
The rest of my apartment is nice. My bedroom, I just never ever decorate.
Don't know hoes come over there. Anyway, we have to talk about people eating cicadas, right? Like we
I
can't.
was gonna.
Can't
bring
move
up
on from the
weird-
topic.
weird- some of the weirdest shit. We've got a local bakery that's selling chocolate covered cicadas.
Oh. You get someone else for the birthday party?
I don't know, Jamal. You're
High in
skeptical. Man.
protein.
You're weird, man. You
Wow.
you
Look at the way this
you would come on
motherfucker's
the
pointing
show.
at me.
Listen,
Yeah.
you listen. You would come on the show and be
You
like,
people.
Listen, man. My boy's wife's close friend. You know, she used to be a bee, beehive. What do you call them? A bee master.
Oh,
And she used to eat bees all the time and use the stings as a toothpick. And come to find out, she's been eating cicadas for 12 years. So she pulled through, came to my house with a tray full of cicadas. And listen, I'm black, right? I'm not supposed to be eating this shit, but you.
So
come up with
first of
a story
all-
like that.
first of all, you're not too far off. But it wasn't by his wife. There was a fucking.
knew
You
it.
said bee master. The fuck is that?
Look at that.
A beekeeper.
Nah, man. I used to buy crickets from the organic store up the street.
Oh, you're sick.
Yeah.
I'm about to go to the next segment right now, man.
Cricket flour.
Doesn't eat mayonnaise.
Yeah, right. Let's go ahead.
But-
Give it to him, man.
Nah, go ahead. I'm gonna let you go.
Only one of those things is fucking made in the lab. I swear that mayonnaise is sent to kill us all. But yeah, I used to eat crickets. Me and my sons would eat them. They taste like
Okay.
chips, you know?
Okay.
Why not eat
But,
chips?
I eat chips too.
Got fucking sour cream and barbecue crickets and shit.
Exactly.
cream cheddar.
I had barbecue crickets in the word.
Oh my.
All dressed
No
crickets and
bullshit.
shit.
Yeah.
Why?
Although I did question my choice one time because that was the only place I could get them is the organic market. It's called Mom. It's like right up the street from me.
Yeah.
And
Place.
one time I went, I'd take the kids, we hop in there, we get them, you actually had to get them like with the scoop, like out of like a kind of bulk food container. So you get like a scoop of crickets and put it in a bag. One day I got them and we were at the register.
Cherry cola, like gummy cherry cokes.
Yeah, exactly. Like fucking,
Scoop.
like runts and
Only the
shit.
watermelon
Like,
ones. Yeah.
so one day we getting rung up and the new guy there, older black dude, didn't know the code for it. So I had to sit there for like 15 minutes while they found somebody who knew the code to
Price
ring up
check on
crickets.
crickets. Price check on crickets.
I was sitting there like, oh my God, this is kind of embarrassing, but
Jeez. Wow.
the more you
All
know.
right, man. Let's wrap this shit up.
Reading
No-
rainbow.
any pulled muscle, any strained necks, trying to dodge these motherfuckers or shadow box them.
I'm just not going back up to Maryland until they're gone. You
Yeah.
can't fucking chill outside. I don't know how people do it.
Oh man. All right. Fun stuff, man. What we got? Another month and a half. Mid-July, I think they said is when
Oh damn.
they'll be dispersing. So it's funny. We could actually overlap this segment and bring Open Gym right into the winery with all the fuss we're about to throw about the Wizards, but we already asked for the check, man. I'm out of here. Let's go and get into Open Gym, man. All right. We'll definitely get into the fuss in a bit as we talk about our Wizards off-season hopes. But first, hey man, I got more background music for y'all. In commemoration of the Wizards getting eliminated from the in the first round of the playoffs at the hands of the Embiidless Sixers, we are ready to give out our final participation trophies of the year. This will be a mix of some funny basketball-related awards, some funny non-basketball-related awards, emphasis on the funny. So let's get right to it. We'll start off with some of the basketball awards we drew up here. This is one I came up with. The award for the most individually productive, but couldn't help his team win many games. The winner is Russell
I wonder
Westbrook.
who that one is.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook. That's right. Get those stats up, baby. Triple-double king.
You're going to have the Rustians after us.
Yeah.
Y'all like stats? There are some stats for your ass.
Russ dropped 35, 21, and 19. The Wizards lost by 20?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
The award for completing a 5-year work contract despite lying on your resume. Scott Brooks. That's right. Hey, listen, the objective on his resume was false as shit. We'll guarantee Kevin Durant's acquisition if you hire me. Ernie ate that shit up.
I thought Scott Brooks's award was going to be most likely to be offended and butthurt by a tweet.
Oh
shit!
It's getting personal. It's getting hot. It's getting hot.
You know how you put in your resume like in progress? Teaching X's and O's in progress.
Yeah.
Estimated.
Right. I don't think he started.
Estimated completion 2024.
Am I still playing this music? This is good, right? It feels good, right? All right. The award for the most stolen minutes, Alex Len. Come on, man. Come on,
he a Terp.
Yeah, he's a Terp, man. But Gafford needed those starting minutes, man. Come on, we needed that oomph in the paint early.
Yeah, you know a little something about oomph in the paint.
I don't know where you're going.
About how your heart ticks, my friend.
It's about how your heart ticks. Ooh.
Yeah. Miles and miles of heart.
Clear eyes.
The award for the most one-dimensional player in NBA history, and then losing that one dimension for a good while. Also known as the "You Have One Job" award.
Oh shit!
The $80 million man.
Yeah, we call him a thief too at this point, but no, it's cool. It's cool.
Hey, he's not a thief. His agent and Jan Mahimi's agent, man, put them up for agent of the year. Whew.
I thought about Jan Mahimi the other day. I wonder what he's up to.
What he's up to, right?
Lord.
He's chilling with $64 million in his bank account. He's living that good life.
Perhaps. Anybody else have any awards to propose? I know Zane came up with some dumb ones. We can get into those if you want. Let's get right to it. Most likely to douse himself exclusively in cool water cologne.
Or Aqua de Gio.
If we were doing non-players, it would be Jackie Miles.
No shit.
Oh shit!
Shout out Jackie. No, we're doing players here. Danny Avdia.
Danny Avdia.
Danny Avdia, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's Danny. I forgot.
Yeah.
Could have been a handful of people, but
Zane. Hey, go ahead, man. Some of these are yours, man.
I don't even have the motherfuckers up, man. You gotta read them, man. Come on.
All right. I'll do another one.
Come on, Ricky Gervais, read them shit.
Most likely to be seen in South Pole jeans and a Tupac t-shirt.
Not mine. That's yours.
Garrison Matthews. Yeah.
I can see that. I can see
Garrison
that.
You got the mustacheless beard and a little tat on your shoulder. No other tats, but just one, and like a very unique spot.
It's like a tribal, like a fireball or some shit.
And that shot just happens to be wet for no reason. Like there's no other part of your game. You just got that wet shot, like 2 different shot forms.
Yeah.
Two different spots that you're good at. Yeah. And there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's all you got.
What was the
most
other one?
likely
That
to
was,
most likely to show up uninvited to your place with a 6-pack of beer and Encino Man on VHS on
It's
the
my
Tuesday
favorite
night.
one.
This is insane. This is great. Yeah. That's Robin
you know who he
Lopez.
reminds me of? He reminds you know that dude in Office Space who lives next door to the main character. He's always knocking on the window and like opening all the conversation.
No, he's
what happened?
He's sideshow
Heard you got
Bob
fired.
from The Simpsons.
This is another favorite of mine. Most likely to sprint up an escalator. Russell.
Did you even reveal that the previous one is Robin Lopez? Did all our listeners get that?
No, I
already?
did. Yeah, I mean, Encino Man should have given it away. Anyway.
Yeah, giving it away.
Not if you're my age.
Yeah, most likely to sprint up an escalator. Russell Westbrook, which is that's such a visually perfect.
Yeah.
Scenario.
Is he
like,
grunting as he goes up?
You see just the elbows and just head down and just.
Imagine
similarly
Russell meditating. And motherfucker rush through that shit in like 20 seconds.
He's the kid that always runs up the escalator going. He runs up the down escalator going up. Like there's always one dude that did that in the mall. What are you fucking asshole?
I did that once, and
that's just part of his workout regimen.
Uncontrollable energy.
Yeah.
We got a couple more here. Most likely to accidentally drop a bag of cocaine out of his warm-up pants.
Wow.
Oh, no.
That's fucked up, man.
Oh, jeez.
Can't be associated with that one.
I mean, come on. Tell me with a straight face he doesn't look like the bad guy in Blow.
He looks like, like exactly like it would be like a show in like Power where they meet like the plug, but he's not like the plug, but he has a boss. And he comes
better
up in, like,
analogy.
a white suit.
The villain in Bad Boys. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Johnny Tapia with a haircut.
For eating my money.
These two caskets.
And the last one here, most likely to know a Taylor Swift entire discography by heart. Who else but the TikTok sensation?
Hard.
Yeah, me too. Chandler Hutchinson.
Yeah.
If it was for beat writers, it would be this guy right here.
Yeah.
About like most likely to oversleep on the bus stop on the bus on the way home and ride back to the school because nobody knows who the fuck he is. Anthony Gill, right? I mean, nobody. Sorry.
No, he always looks like he just got out of bed sweating. Like
he looks a little disoriented.
Yeah, bed edge, all that shit going on. Yeah. We have one more here though. Most likely to pretend to be a foreign exchange student so you can play basketball with the American kids, a la every bad movie from the 80s. That's Rui Hachimura.
Yo, messed up.
Oh my god, they didn't even remember he wrote that one.
I didn't remember that one.
He's sitting there guessing himself, guessing his own shit.
Who did that? I know that's been a movie. Which is very funny because you know a movie I loved growing up was Soul Man, which apparently is not a very well-liked movie for the message that it says. Because the white dude who pretends to be a black dude, and there's like a lot of racial jokes in there. You got to watch that movie, Neil. That should be shown in Black History. Soul Man.
All right, so those are our renowned awards for the Wizards this season. We're going to stick to the Wizards for a little bit more now that the offseason is here. We've all got hopes and dreams and visions for how we want this team to go, how we want them to be. We'll start with Chris Stapps right off the break. He's been hitting the airwaves. Some trade rumors being thrown out there. I haven't seen any specific ones. I don't know, Neil, if you've seen any specific trade scenarios involving Chris Stapps.
Let me just go on a mini rant here real quick.
Please.
The Chris Stapps report is such a piece of crap, garbage-ass report that's just there for clickbait and links and clicks and everything. It's completely...
Maybe a little more passionate, Neil.
It's not fucking journalism. Like, I know the guy who put the report out there. He's
That's
nice
a fucking
guy.
lie.
Sure.
I will never, ever let that reporter speak for me.
But it's the type of shit that's reporting and says, Tommy Shepard says, yeah, I'm always monitoring 400 plus NBA players at all times. You know, I'm monitoring every single one. Like, I could put out a fucking report and say, yep, the Wizards are monitoring Kawhi Leonard and Steph Curry in free agency. Yeah, sure. That might be true, but there's no fucking meaning behind it. So why are you putting that out there and trying to engage an audience that acts like it's real in fact. When why the fuck would the Wizards give up assets to get another Davis Bertans?
Right. So where did this come from? Where did it come from?
We
Anybody's
naming
camp?
names?
Anybody's? No. I'm just saying, like, I don't want names, but I want to know, like, what stirred this up? There had to have been some murmur.
Reporter who
a single
put
reporter
it out
okay,
there.
Just out of his ass.
A tweet or a report. No, like you say, oh, the Wizards are monitoring it. But like,
basically what they do, in my estimation, is they watch and see, okay, this team got eliminated. This person has a certain reputation and didn't perform well. Well, maybe this team would be looking to get rid of him, and the Wizards fucking have nobody.
Yeah. That's pretty much where it starts. I think
that's where it is. Yeah, exactly. He's disgruntled in Dallas. He's apparently there's separate reports coming out about him being upset a bit about Luka getting all the shine and doing what he's doing. You know, that's no fault of Luka, but here's Kristaps in his mind. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, does it matter that he's gonna? They're talking about bringing him to a team where he'll be at best the third person to be looked at. No, I know. Like I don't. Exactly. Yeah, that's why it never makes sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense. There has been some, again, just amongst the contingents of Wizards Twitter and their daily, going back and forth and talking about shit. Trade suggestions have been obviously brought up. Somebody said Bertans, Thomas Bryant, and Hutchison for Kristaps. How do you feel about Kristaps as a player individually, and how he may or may not fit in the system? Right. Let's all the other bullshit aside. Right. If he's disgruntled, if the Wizards are looking for a free agent, right, even if it's an unofficial report, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does Kristaps, would the situation fit for him in any way?
No.
So the question is, would Kristaps play center if he came here?
It depends. Like, I don't think he would want to play center 36 minutes a game.
Yeah.
But the other thing is just that he's not the type of person Tommy Shepard wants to bring in. Like, he has character questions. His agents, who I believe are like either his brothers or his cousins or something, like, are supposedly terrible to work with. Like, out of all the things that the Wizards want to be, that like a Russell Westbrook epitomizes, Kristaps Porzingis is not it. It's not happening, people.
Yeah. This is my Uncle Lenny. Yeah. He handles all my business decisions.
Yeah, he's all pissed off about the rumors. I like Mark. I don't know Tommy. I don't know Tommy. Yeah.
Tommy, I don't know.
New faces.
What does he bring to this team that they don't already lack?
Yeah, I don't need another guy who can't defend this, that wants to play face in the basket. Like we have I don't know. I feel like we're going to have a new player rumor probably every week leading up to at least the draft. I think last week it was kind of a faint like DeMar DeRozan type of thing. Somebody threw some bullshit out and people just try to, work this trade machine. I don't, Kristaps is not, I mean, he's not the biggest hole. We need athletic wing scoring, not an off injured, guy who's weighs 160
pounds. He would make
pounds.
the team worse. He would make the team worse.
Yeah.
I really do think like Jamal said, he doesn't play. Okay, the team is not that great defensively. He doesn't play defense, right? The Wizards are a little bit soft inside. Porzingis is soft, right? To like not trying to shit on him, but he's not like for a guy who's 7'3".
Yeah, he is. Exactly. No,
yeah, I mean he's softer than a chip kid cookie, right?
Yeah.
Bing.
Bing. By the way, Bedrock cookie coming back out this week. And
you already ordered. I got 7 cookies on the way. 7 cookies on the way. 7 on the way.
Oh shit, yo, man! I gotta get hip. We doing a food segment next week. We talking about chip cake.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
All right, we're gonna try them out.
No, but listen, I want to circle back to Neil 1 second. Sorry, one key word here is defense, right? The Wizards don't have a lot of capital to work with, right? They need to find guys that are not offensive prioritized, right? Like not totally offensive minded. They need to be scrappy guys that can make plays on defense. And this kind of also falls into the discussion I wanted to have about what coach we would like to bring in to DC. And I've thought about that too, because I think that the Wizards offensively, they're calibered to be at the top of their game on any given night, right? With Beal, with Russ, with Bertans if he hits shots, right? But all these guys can score. Rui is forming into a solid scorer. He's getting better. We need guys that will emphasize defense, that will play defense. And as we talk about, the upcoming coaching search, hopefully the inevitable coaching search, right? Unless we get surprised by some secret extension that was signed 4 months ago when they were just too scared to tell everybody about it, right? But there's some names on the board there. Kenny Atkinson kind of stands out to me the most. What he did with the Nets.
He's always a popular name. Yep.
Always a popular name, but you kind of really look at, kind of the players that he developed or helped develop or coached while they were there. Your Dimwitties, guys that, just not very glamorous players on the floor, but, put in the work.
Yeah.
Jared Allen.
You're Jared Allen, right? I mean, huge. I mean, in Jared Allen, you can see some of what you can leverage with Daniel Gabbard a little bit, right? A tall, stringy, long player in the middle that can
stringy.
That can.
What about his measurables?
Yeah. So I'm trying to use every term but measurables. But that's what the Wizards need, man. They need guys defensive. Porzingis, sexy on paper, sexy haircut, but he doesn't provide what the Wizards need. The Wizards have all of that already. They just need somebody to control the ball on the other side.
That's why if you're going to hype up a player that is made up and not true, go make it something reasonable and realistic.
Exactly.
Jeremy Grant. Like, that's a type of player that the Wizards would love to have on their team right now. Yeah. And, who knows? Maybe Tommy has called up to Detroit and said, hey, Davis Bertans, Denny Avdia, first-round pick, trying to send Grant back home.
Tommy's certainly earned the reputation of making something out of nothing, right? And not big splashy moves, but the Gafford shit really
that shit worked. Yeah, he gets a lot of credit for that. A lot of credit for that.
He saw something that nobody else did. We were mad about the Troy Brown thing just because we felt like another first round pick wasted. I hope I'm not boring the fuck out of you, Zane.
No, I just I want to give credit, but I just don't want to hang on to that credit. I don't want to hang on to that credit.
No one
it's like Stockholm syndrome, right? Like I've been kidnapped and you give me a cookie,
Right. No one wants to, but you have to see you still have to be fair with what Tommy inherited coming in, right? It's kind of like Bush taking over or Obama taking over Bush's economy, right? Like Obama taking over Bush's economy, right? Like the shit wasn't easy to work with, right? But it took him 8 years and he figured the shit out. I'm not saying that we should give Tommy 8 years by any measure. But it's the same situation. He comes in to a situation, an economy, so for lack of better terms, with the payroll and everything, that he has to inherit from Ernie, where you've got two guys alone, taking $90 million off the books, with only roughly 25, 30 million before you, and you got an owner who doesn't really want to touch the luxury tax either, which also bothers the fuck out of me, right? Like he doesn't want to spend the extra cash to make this team a fraction more formidable than they are now, right? Like it's crazy. And a headline came out earlier this week or last week where it was like Tommy has Neil, did you tweet it out where Ted has basically given Tommy the option of using the luxury tax to
if it is conducive to winning, but that it's going to take a lot of convincing, because even last time that the Wizards went into luxury tax, when they unfortunately gave Otto Porter $106.5 million, like that's what happened. And Ted was even very skeptical to go in the tax at that moment. And I remember he said, look, the taxes very use the word punitive, right? Because you can get into the repeater tax. It costs you $1.50 on the dollar. And Ted is a very stingy, frugal guy. Like he wants to make his money and his profit margins as large as they can possibly be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like a balancing act. Like, which one do you want more, right? You've only got this roster, this much capital to work with, right? You need to.
For him, the balancing act is NBA purgatory. It seems like.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so, the only solution at this point, if you're going to work with this roster, is bringing a new coach, right? Because we obviously know that the guy that we had in place cannot make those guys play, and Russ might be a lost cause in general. I mean. We talk about Russ and can another coach change him? Can they really change him? You're 33 years old.
Too late.
You've already solidified your reputation.
He's gonna get worse.
It's not even changed though, because it's more about just focusing it and channeling it in a certain direction. If he can just take off 25% of the turnovers and the bad shots, that's already a great start. It's not like we're saying that we have to revolutionize and change his entire game. They don't have that time. They don't have that window. Their window is to say, in the next 1 to 2 years, can we do something to keep Bradley Beal around?
Pretty much.
A
And,
new
you know,
car? I don't know.
penciling in Neil Dalal in for potential coaching candidates for the Washington Wizards.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll be Becky Hammond's assistant coach.
There
no
we
problem.
go. Yeah, I was waiting for that, man. I was about to move on from the Wizards without a Becky Hammond name drop.
I can just say that there are at least 5 very good coaching candidates out there that are so
like?
much better. Becky
Nate,
Hammond, you already
uh-huh.
said Kenny Atkinson, Wes
Yeah.
Unseld Jr., Sam
Yep.
Cassell,
Yep.
Chauncey Billups is a big hot name, so they might not be able to actually land him. But
I like Chauncey.
there are a lot of people that have.
What do you like about Chauncey?
wait.
Do you trust Chauncey?
I
Go
think
ahead.
Chauncey Billups probably will have the rapport, with the players, and he'll garner
Players
the
will
players'
respect another player.
Yeah.
right away. That's
Accomplish
something that
something.
you risk with bringing in a new head coach for the first time.
Yeah.
Especially,
I think the days with the Wizards missing completely on. I mean, with Russ and Brad here, we have rumors of players looking at the situation in Washington, and I think we have enough of a name at Russ that we can. I don't think we would automatically be out of the Chauncey sweepstakes had we not had him here, right? So I give a nod there. Some other people I'm looking at. I'm thinking in terms of like coaching trees, like guys that have been long-time assistants that are getting plucked off.
Sure.
Darvin Ham is still a hot name. It's been a hot name for a couple of years. I'm kind of wondering if it's one of these like Eric Bieniemy type of situations because I feel like he should have had a head coaching job by now, considering all things considered. So I wonder if he's interviewed and he's not getting not getting the jobs, which is a little concerning in itself. Chris Quinn, he's an assistant under Spo. I'm a huge Spo fan. Whatever Spo in Miami does with defense, I think we badly need that here. The question is, can you convert Russ to a more defensive-minded player? Brad, the same thing. I don't know. I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah.
Another name that just popped up.
Ujiri shit.
What's that?
Ujiri. Whatever happened to that shit?
I think it's just dead. It's like a pipe dream. It's
Yeah.
It's definitely
He's
more
still. I think he's still waiting it out to see what the Raptors want to do with.
Yeah.
But
Jaron Collins is the last name too.
Okay.
Under Steve Kerr, we had no offensive creativity in Washington in a very long time. He would definitely bring that. So I know he hit the market a few days ago. He said he wants to be a head coach.
Yeah.
So those are guys that I would look at.
His brother was on the Wizards for a hot second a few years ago.
Yeah, Jason Collins. Yep.
I in no way want to compare Scott Brooks to any of these names, but what makes me skeptical about some of these names, some of these players coaches, is that Scott Brooks kind of came into the Wizards organization with that same
label.
That he was the same label, basically. He's a player. And Neil, I mean, I don't know. Were you covering the team when he got hired? But I know I was.
I had 2 years under Whitman, and then
it was right in the thick of the John Wall, Bradley Beal turmoil, so to speak, shit that was going on that was making national news. And obviously, people locally didn't believe it as much, but there was this strong assumption that the locker room was kind of broken because of their relationship. And part of why Scott Brooks was hired and was so highly sought outside of the KD shit was because he was that, so to speak, that players coach, that mediator, that guy that could kind of level with the players on a personal level. And the Wizards hired him, sacrificing all the other shit, the real coaching shit, the X's and O's and the game planning and the strategies and all that stuff. That's kind of what makes me worry. That's the only thing that makes me worry about guys like Chauncey Billups, right? I know Darvin Ham has coaching experience on the bench. Chauncey hasn't been coaching, has he?
He was rumored to be like in a GM running recently, but I don't think he's been a coach.
He's on the Clippers assistant coach right now.
He's an assistant with the Clips.
Right. Ty Lue put together a superstar staff. He has Atkinson. He has Billups. After Sam Cassell went to Philly with Doc.
So by no means am I drawing a comparison between like Chauncey Billups and Scott Brooks. Obviously, Chauncey's more closer to this generation than Scott Brooks is, and more relatable to the players than I think Scott Brooks would be. So, but there's still that factor where I feel like, we could have all that cozy shit with the players and leveling down with them and working with them on a personal level, but we need a guy that can really change some of these players, the way they play, emphasize defense, and to be able to match up to any other coach that they face. I mean, it's one thing to be a solid coach and know your game and have your expertise, but once another coach kind of figures you out, we've seen it with Scott Brooks.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
You get out coached. There's nothing that can save you. So we'll see how that goes. But first, we gotta wait it out and see what the team decides to do with Scott Brooks.
All I gotta say is that you can be a player's coach and not have that be your Davis Bertans one-dimensional only thing that you bring to the table. For 5 years, the Wizards have not had a good defense. The Wizards' offensive strategy this season was run, pace, go faster. They had no X's and O offensive sets in the half-court set.
You can't
half-court sets were terrible.
And you can't have that style of offense if you don't play defense. How are you going to run and have a high-paced offense if
you're taking the ball out of bounds?
Right, you're taking the ball out of bounds. You're bounding the ball every play. All right,
that chair creaking. That's Scott Brooks's last legs going.
Let's hope so.
All right, so we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and slide into the rest of the NBA here. We got more trophies to give out. Like I said, Game 7s have been out the way. We got some Game 1s and Game 2s underway. We'll start with Paul George getting the first participation trophy podcast. Participation trophy, even though his team won. There was video of him that looked like he was getting snubbed on a jersey swap with Luka. He took his jersey off and Luka didn't take his off. Jamal, I know you were loving this shit.
Yeah, I love a good snub. I love a good public embarrassment on camera.
Especially with Paul George, man.
Paul George has gotten a lot of shit. The guy who gets a new nickname every year, playoff P, pandemic P. He finally got over the hump, but it really was, let's be real, it was Kawhi's work that really got him there. But yeah, man, to get snubbed and you down to the compression shirt and you got the fucking fuzzy cornrows in the camera and you still get blown off by Luke, it's just not a good look. Man. It's not a good look.
That just reminds you a few years ago.
And then you got to fucking track down Boban to get your fucking phone and swap a jersey with.
Somebody was knocking on Chris Paul because they did a jersey swap and he didn't have no undershirt.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
And somebody was like, "Yo, you a psycho? You got no undershirt on."
That's some Russ shit. Like Russ is practically naked when he walks off the floor, like fucking no jersey,
a lot of guys,
socks and shoes and
Russ
shit.
is naked when he walks into the arena.
Yeah, a lot of guys don't wear shirts. I always remember those dudes that get like teed up and they like get ejected and they walk out. They just walk out the game. They rip off their jersey. They got no shirt on.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
that one wild ass shirt. Russ walked up.
I think it's Luka. If Luka, I don't think Luka had an undershirt on. I think he's self-conscious about his body. That's from one self-conscious body
he didn't want to get called Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah, he's got no definition. He looked like late stage Mellow. He's kind of round and shit.
The other day I thought about this. Like it's not a recurring nightmare, but it's like a thought. Like I'm at a thing and there's like all these hot girls and like one of my friends gets shot, right? And then I want to be the person to be like jump in there, like start like being like that guy who takes control and like, call the ambulance, and I take off my shirt and wrap it around his wound. But then I would just be like, do I want to embarrass myself here, or let's motherfucker die, or somebody else do it?
He'll understand. Yeah, we got to do a segment on the most out of shape looking, but still had a longevity in NBA type of bodies.
Harden had that for a while. He's looking a little brolic now.
He had it together. I think a lot of motherfuckers like Antoine Walker, who look like the fucking like
Paul Pierce, of course,
like Antoine a jug of milk. Yeah. Pierce, never had no muscle definition. Nothing.
Yeah. But Luka was definitely trying to hide those turnip tips.
No shame.
But you're right though. Kawhi went off 32 points a game. George was
cooking, man.
20, he was cooking, especially those last
40, 46.
40, yeah, crazy.
In a loss.
So. Moving on down, another participation trophy podcast. Zane, you can indulge in this one. LeBron, year 18 comes to an end. The Lakers hurt a lot this year, and by Lakers, of course, I'm just talking about AD and Bron. AD went down at the end. Bron couldn't carry him. Zane, fire away. Go ahead.
It's one of those things where I always said to myself,
what a wonderful
like if I made more money, it would make me happy. You know what I'm saying? And I make more money and I still ain't happy. I mean, the effects of LeBron losing wore off real quick. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the first night, it was just like, instant boner, super happy. I didn't even bother reading like the news or anything and reveling in it, but I was just fucking glad. Like it's kind of taking a load off my shoulders and knowing that he's not gonna win a title this year and somebody else is. And I don't give a fuck who it is.
Doesn't matter.
I don't care if there's a team full of fucking Nazis in the playoffs left and they fucking win. That's a little fucked up.
Can we
edit that out?
I don't I don't know if it wore off for me.
Sign this retraction right now.
I'll go back and see what the fuck you said. I don't think I even heard you.
Good.
I still
But you know what it is.
I still get a semi rush when I realize or when I remember that the playoffs won't involve LeBron for the next 2 series in the finals.
Yeah,
it's still there.
It's definitely up there. Yeah,
and it's not. Listen, man, it's not so much that it's LeBron
comparable to like your first kid being born or like your wedding.
It's up there, man. Fuck, it's up there. Oh, why'd you bring that up? Listen, no, it's up there, but just it's not so much about LeBron specifically. It is a lot about LeBron, but it's also just seeing the new slew of stars that are coming out, especially we talked about last week, the young guys, your Trays and your Donovan. Yeah. Just seeing somebody new, seeing somebody else. We might very likely have a Phoenix Utah finals. Ugh, which is wild to me, right?
Yeah.
That's like one of your auto simulated seasons in 2K, where like the randomest team ends up in the fucking finals, right? You just
two random teams.
Start that shit all over again, 82 games. Right?
The Pistons, get the fuck out of this shit, bro.
Yeah, like Sadiq Bey had like 35 points a game.
Like the
finals
Pistons
MVP
and the Bulls,
shit.
they're both in the Eastern Conference. What the fuck's going on?
Oh man, but no, I get you. Yeah, it's year 18 after all.
Yeah, but you know, he always has this built-in excuse. It's always like, if he wins, whatever, great, he deserves it. But if he loses, he's fucking full of scrubs on his team. He ain't got fucking nobody.
So I'm not a LeBron hater. I'm the one that's not the LeBron hater on the show.
Every time we talk about LeBron, you look so uncomfortable. But go ahead.
But yeah, had to relax my ass cheeks just now. You make me so angry to just like clench my shit up. But I am tired of like every offseason, it's like, who's LeBron going to recruit? Like that same fucking process every year.
Shit.
It already started up, and it's like people start photoshopping motherfuckers in the Lakers. I'm tired of that. Like, I have no issues with LeBron. I'm just tired of that annual process of LeBron recruiting some other star. I mean, granted, Dennis Schroeder had like the worst playoffs in fucking Lakers history. I mean, anytime you turn Magic against you, you're a piece of shit. But I'm not ready for who's going to come play for the Lakers, sweepstakes. This shit's tired. It's tired.
It's the same fucking meme every year. LeBron looking at a piece of paper and the caption is,
who's leaving?
Who's he getting rid of?
Who we getting rid of? Right? And
like, we got next year, looking at Kyle Kuzma.
Kuzma survived like 3 of these already.
Right. Yeah. And Zane.
Like a fucking war veteran.
And Zane, I mean, we've talked about LeBron as a GM for so long, right? And it's the same Bron stands that make those memes that like just throw them up.
Yeah. Like you really
he's
think
the best GM in the
you
world.
really think he had nothing to do with the construction of this fucking team?
They know he did.
No, but I'm saying like he probably signed the motherfucking checks. I don't even think who's a fucking like I don't think any bus signs the fucking checks.
Like he Trump signed those stimmies.
Yeah, like the fuck.
Oh,
come on.
All right. We got more trophies to give out. The Bucks. The fuck, man. It's so funny because the last show we were talking about the Miami Heat, right? Just completely folding to the Bucks and giving them the biggest trophy. And now the Bucks have become that same victim. And KD, man. We thought this shit going in on paper again, like the tail of the tape, KD versus Giannis. That's a match made in heaven.
I thought it was a great matchup for the Bucks. This is not looking good.
KD is just on his he's in his bag.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And his bag is so he's got like 14 grocery bags.
He looking like Drew League. He's looking like Drew League KD out there. Like
Goodman League.
He like 76 and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like he just straight up in the park.
The grocery bags, 2 hands like this.
Speaking of coaches, man, perhaps we should talk about how Budenholzer can't get shit done in the playoffs ever.
He's trash. He's not.
That dude is just a regular season champion.
He's a regular season champion. Yeah.
Man, he can't adjust worth shit, man. You see what I mean?
I was gonna say some dumb shit. Look up any picture of Budenholzer, and he looks like he just stomached a bad hot dog. Like the face. It's like the most disgruntled Pepto face. Like, fuck, I shouldn't have ate that third.
He does have like a regional sales lead of vacuum cleaners type of look.
Regional sales lead. Do you mind if I come in for a moment, show you how this thing works?
Yeah. He'll get on one knee and fix the bag for you. Like,
yeah. I was like,
I hate you guys. I can't stand you much.
Yeah, that motherfucker might end up unemployed. He can never get over the hump in the playoffs. And the way like the Nets bottled up like Giannis it's bad.
Because he can't create anything for Giannis off the ball. It's like, here, just take the fucking ball and figure some shit out, man.
Fuck the NBA, by the way, for making the Nets take down their shot clock on the jumbotron for Giannis's free throws. Like, that shit's funny. God damn, let him live.
I will say, man. I think if Harden was playing, I think this series would be 1-1.
Why do you say that?
I just feel like Harden being out, like the Nets offense and role players have really just blossomed. Like they're playing like super free, full court, easy buckets, crazy energy. And with Harden, it really slows all that down. Like, you know what I mean? Like the ball movement is kind of relegated to Harden, dribble, and making a good pass.
14 seconds. Yeah,
14 fucking seconds. And this offense is just free flowing. Like motherfuckers have confidence.
Yeah.
You know,
who on the Nets is gonna pull the Draymond Green and be like, we don't even need you, bitch.
Oh my lord.
Fucking like brute.
Can you imagine?
Like, somebody really like nondescript.
Yeah.
They had a lineup out there the other night. I was like, who the fuck are these guys, man?
I don't know, but they're balling.
Mike James.
All of them were hitting shots.
They're balling. Fuck maintain.
They had a point guard on their roster that the Wizards had on their like late on their preseason roster. Real short.
Fucking superstar.
What's his name?
Chris Chiozza.
Chiozza, man. That's my boy, man.
Chiozza. Yeah. The poor man's Fred VanVleet.
they all look alike.
They all look alike.
The Drakes to the NBA, you know, your Austin Rivers and
But yeah, you can you could look like a 15-man roster full of motherfuckers that look just like that.
Landry Fields, he's the GOAT.
He's right.
It probably fucks with the defense. They don't know how to fucking guard anybody. They all look the same. Fucking scouting reports out the window.
Oh my god.
They all wear the same shoes and shit too.
All right, let's round this out with Neil. I know you're gonna feel passionate about this one. Terry Stotts. Not because you love Terry Stotts, but because
that's your boy.
A great dude.
What's the obsession with Terry Stotts?
A great dude, a good coach. He made the playoffs eight times out of his 9 seasons as the coach.
And how many times they leave the first?
Yeah, how many times did the first round? No, it's fair. He only got out of the first round 3 times out of those.
That's not bad. Not bad at all.
Got into the conference finals once. Was the guy that helped groom Lillard and McCollum, deserves respect. But Neil, we'll give the participation trophy award to him. I know you wish Scott Brooks was on the couch with him right now.
Yeah, you know, Scott Brooks, Terry Stotts, Mike Budenholzer, they can all get, you know, a nice house in Cancun together, you know, chill out for a year.
Airbnb and shit.
Yeah.
Go do some commentary afterwards. You know, I think, you know, Dame is somebody that was very appreciative of his 9 years in the NBA with him because, you know, for Dame, he was that small-time kid, small college that groomed into this potential MVP superstar. You know, he's a multi-time, bona fide, all-star, all-NBA point guard, much in, you know, due in fact to Terry Stotts. But eventually, that only gets you so far. The Blazers GM, Neil Oshley, he was like kind of going after Stotts and, you know, whatever his after-season media availability.
He's talking shit?
Supposedly, you know, keeping things a little spicy, I guess. Throwing some shade. But I don't know. If Terry Stotts, obviously 9 years is a long time, you know, that's almost a Grunfeldian linked era. You know, you got to move on. If you're not getting production, what are you gonna do? 9 years is a long time. What have you done for me
lately?
How do we feel about Dame asking for J Kidd and Kidd being like, "Nah, I'm good." Like, I don't know.
He basically said it because he said that. That's why he didn't go after the job. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, he was just like, it puts me in a position of, I don't want to interview for the job because he's kind of called my name out, and
I don't know. I just don't understand why Lillard would say anything publicly.
I feel like Kidd probably knows or has a strong suspicion that Vogel's gonna get fired if they fuck up. Or Gurley, like LeBron's patience is gonna run out with Vogel at some point, and Kidd will probably just be able to take over.
And talking about the Celtics, I mean, his backup plan is the Celtics, right? So it's like
Kidd's backup plan is the Celtics.
I mean, there's been rumblings that they would be interested in Jason Kidd, right? So to your point, Lakers, Celtics. I mean, obviously Dame Lillard's a dog, but coaching the Celtics or Lakers comes with a certain level of, you know,
versus just going to Portland, right? Yeah.
When a fucking Portland
is Kidd employed anywhere right now?
Yeah, it's a Lakers.
The Lakers
assistant.
assistant.
Coach.
Lakers
Yeah.
assistant. That's right. Yeah.
I don't know.
They're all.
I don't understand any NBA team's infatuation with Jason Kidd. Like,
it's a player thing. I think
he
it's
did
all.
nothing with Giannis. Like, and he's
It-
also
Getting that
bit of a
drink knocked on the
douchebag.
floor is one of the
That-
best
I
NBA
love
moments
it.
ever.
I
Oh
love
my
that.
god.
Yeah. Run into me.
It's come a league where it's like
He drew that
there's
up.
teams
like,
that have good players, right? There's teams that have good players, and for whatever reason, it's like we want to find a guy who can communicate with them and bring the best out of them, right? Like,
yeah.
like a coach is going to do a certain amount of improvement for the Lakers, but you have fucking LeBron, you have AD, you have you know what I'm saying, like.
It's why Nash is about to get a ring in his first year coaching.
Exactly. And they have the players, and they're really going towards this player coach centric thing,
Yeah.
right? Where the guys have experience and they respect those guys.
All right. You want to do some second round predictions real quick?
Lightning round.
Let's go. Phoenix, Denver. Tell me the team that wins and how many games. Zane.
Phoenix and 7.
Denver. Phoenix and 7.
I got Phoenix in 6.
Denver in 7.
I'm gonna go Phoenix in 6 myself. Clippers, Utah. Go ahead, Zane.
Clippers in 6.
Clippers in 6.
Utah in 7.
Ooh.
I'm torn.
It's a tough one, man. It's not that easy.
It's so tough. I was looking at the tail of the tape there. The lineups match pretty well. I like Utah as well. For the sake of not being the same as Jamal, I'm gonna say Utah in 6. Philly, Atlanta. What is it? 1-1 now?
Yeah. Philly
Is
in
Trey Ross
6.
back?
Atlanta in 7.
Wow.
I'm going Atlanta in 7 also. This is my team to ride with.
Yeah, I'm actually going Atlanta in 7 too. Maybe less, but
Man, maybe I have to just retract that statement. The Fighting Kevin Herters will lead Atlanta to a victory in Game 7.
Red Rider.
Red Velvet.
Red Rider.
Do we even want to do Brooklyn, Milwaukee at this point?
Yeah.
Brooklyn in 3.
I'm gonna say Brooklyn in 6.
I'm going Brooklyn in 6 also.
Brooklyn in 5.
Okay.
$5.
I don't know. Middleton's thinking it out. They figured out Giannis is going in the paint getting swarmed.
Blake Griffin looks like he's 5 years ago.
Yeah, they look done, man.
I just have a little bit of faith in Giannis as a former MVP to kind of make those adjustments and at least
role players play
2
better
out
at
of it.
home.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. There you have it. All right. Let's switch gears. A big boxing weekend has come and gone. Of course, the highlight being this past Sunday in Miami, Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul, in an unjudged bout of 8 rounds. I'll confess to one thing. I've been following the Paul brothers since their Vine days. Nothing to be really proud of. But up until right before the fight, I thought I had Jake and Logan mixed up. I thought it was Jake going up against Mayweather.
Mixed up the name.
And the reason why that was important to me because I knew Logan had been dabbling in the sport. Obviously, Jake has had some more fights and a little more poised. But Logan has some balls, man. We got the Pakistani Terry Atlas over here. Take it away. Give us your thoughts.
What?
I don't know where to begin. Like, I was looking forward to this event as just it being an event. I'm saying that there being a boxing event.
Yeah.
As a form of entertainment. And I kind of got baffled by people's complaints. Like, if you look at people's complaints before, it was like, oh, he's a fucking YouTuber. What is he doing? He has no blah, 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 right? And, oh, Floyd's this and that. Why is he fighting a YouTuber? And the fight kind of played out to a degree exactly how people expected the event to go based on their preconceived notions on both of the fighters, quote unquote. And people are still pissed off and upset. And it just kind of like people on social media, like, you either have to, like, your opinion has to be extreme on one end or the other, right? And it's like, people just can't appreciate something for what it is or what they expected, and it has to be a meme, right? Or this crazy, just this like.
Yeah.
And then I started going to YouTube, and all the comments were kind of recycled. Like, I didn't even buy this fight, but I feel ripped off. And I like the first one, I was like, oh, that's like a funny original thought, right? And then like everybody's posting the same shit, and I'm just like, do you have your own opinion, right? So that was my thoughts on like the what's the word, backlash, the reception of it.
Right.
And then the fight itself, like people, look, I keep hearing Logan Paul, one, he's not a boxer. Well, that's false. Is he a good pro boxer? No, but he's been training in boxing for 2 to 3, 4 years now, right? So
tell him, different. Tell him.
Yeah, that's different than somebody who just put on a fucking pair of gloves, right? Like Abdullah, if I said to you right now that you're not a boxer, you would be like, yeah. But if you actually train 4 or 5 days a week, boxing, sparring with fucking trainers for 3 years, would you appreciate if I said you're not a boxer? Whether or not how true that is, right? So another thing was people shitting on Floyd for his performance, when in actuality, if you take into account that Logan Paul has been training for 3-4 years and that he's 5 weight classes above Floyd Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather's 44. Floyd Mayweather fought at 155. Logan Paul probably came in over 200 pounds, right?
Yep.
So basically like a heavyweight, right?
He's listed at 189.
Yeah, I mean, he weighed in at 190, but after
he blew up. Yeah.
After hydrating, guys gained 10, 15 pounds.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a guy who's 220, comes down to 190, so he's pure muscle, right? He's 26. He's a wrestler. He's an athlete, right? He's been training for 3-4 years. He's a heavyweight, essentially, going against Mayweather, who fought at 147 for the majority of his career, was not a power puncher at that weight, was the strongest at his 135, 140 days. This is how the fight had played out, exactly how I not exactly how I thought, but like this thing that like there's conspiracies that Floyd could have knocked him out, but he did it on purpose for all this stuff. Like he really held on to a guy who's 200, 210 pounds on his arms.
Right.
But there's articles going on. People actually believe this.
Right.
Like weight classes exist for a reason, and this guy's fighting 5 weight classes above.
So let's talk about that for a second, right? Because I know you and I kind of went back and forth about it. And I watch boxing a lot, but I don't watch it to the point where I can argue with you point for point on a lot of things. But we watch Mayweather a lot. We've watched him throughout the years, and we know what his strategy is, right? It's kind of wear down your opponent.
To a degree. I agree and I disagree with you, but I'll let you go ahead.
Well, okay. So I think for this fight specifically, we kind of saw that, right? Like Logan came out hot. He came out better than we expected. And he obviously lasted the entire rounds, which is very commendable. But there was a point in the fight where I honestly thought that his corner was going to throw the towel.
Right.
Like,
which they could have.
It's kind of what it looked like, right? He spent an entire break in between rounds bent over.
Yeah.
And I thought at any minute his corner was going to say, you know what, we're good.
Right.
And obviously the commentary, Deez and Mero, they're being funny, but they were kind of notioning the same thing, right? Like making jokes like, these next 2 rounds are going to feel like 2 weeks and shit, right? Like, because they knew like Logan looked fucked. He looked like hot melting butter on the fucking canvas. Like he looked like he was going to melt.
He was gassed
at some point. And I just felt like, and I get everything. I get the strategy, and I get Mayweather's his game plan, and I get the weight difference and the age difference, all of that. I still felt at one point, I felt like there was enough opportunity, because there was one point where Floyd himself, where he started to throw punches in a sequence that I hadn't seen in a long time. Like he really got riled up for a moment where he was getting hit and just kind of really started taking the assertiveness to throw jabs. We know how Mayweather fights, right? Like you mentioned, the high guard, walk down, kind of being very strategic, being very calculated with his punches, right? Doesn't really throw the first punch usually. But it got to a point in the middle rounds where, Logan was being a little bit fierce, and he countered and he started punching. So I felt like it got to a point where once Logan started to feel that fatigue and start to wear down, like most Mayweather opponents do, that there was enough of an opportunity where Mayweather could have kind of taken that assertiveness with the punches and put a real hurt on Logan, pretty much ending the fight. That's how I felt. I didn't say he could have just flat out knocked him out. It did feel like a point where Logan was done enough to where he could have been finished, and it just felt like it was a little prolonged. That's all.
So to respond to that, so the high guard is something that Floyd really doesn't use, right? So he usually comes out with the Mayweather shoulder roll, right? And that's something, you know, shoulder up, blah, 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 block the punches, come back with counters, right?
Yeah.
So the high guard, what I noticed is the high guard is what he used against Conor McGregor, right? That's the fight where he really used the high guard, right? And that's something you do against like a novice boxer because, you know, he's able to cover up his face very strategically and wear down his opponent, right? Because there's a lot of inexperienced fighters aren't going to know how to attack that, right?
Sure.
So he's coming out with this, and what I noticed was initially he tried to box Conor McGregor. Now he wasn't scared of Conor McGregor, but with McGregor's reach, McGregor's size, he could not get inside. He could not get close enough without getting hit in the face, right? And that he struggled with that, so he kind of switched his strategy to go to high guard and wear McGregor down. So with all the other information at hand, considering that Logan, I'll be honest, I thought Logan did better than Conor McGregor did. I fully believe, like, just from technique and punching and actually throwing punches, I thought he did better. And you take into account that McGregor was probably 165 pounds in that fight. Logan's probably over 200 pounds. Logan's 6'2". He's still 4 or 5 inches taller than McGregor and Mayweather. He has a longer reach, right? And there's a couple telling things here, which I've studied Floyd as a person. He's a very, like, a psychologist would have a fucking field day with Floyd, just breaking down the shit he says in the way. I mean, he's the most narcissistic, for whatever reason, whether it's marketing or not. Like, he actually said in his corner, he says, I cannot get inside. I cannot get my jab off, right? Because, and what that means is he's scared to get hit. He's scared to get hit in the face, right? Because he actually thinks that he could receive a strong counterpunch or he could be punched, and he would not want to take that risk, right? And then he also said multiple times in the post-fight presser, I think out of embarrassment, he basically said, I've never heard him say this about anybody, I can't get inside, and that guy's really fucking strong. Pacquiao, he never said, he said, yeah, he had some okay power, or yeah, he had some okay power. He said he's really strong. He's a wrestler. He knows how to grapple. Anytime I'll get close, he knew how to, like, to hold me, right, and really put his weight on me. So do I think Floyd could have gone all out a little more? Yeah, but he didn't think it was worth it. It was not worth doing that, because even if Logan threw a fatigued punch coming from a 200-pounder, right, I don't think he felt like it was worth the risk, because he felt like there was a chance. He's very calculated, right? There was a chance it could have done some damage and really hurt him. Right. So
I can see that.
In hindsight, the fight wasn't as much. I mean, he's able to pull it off, but there was a certain level of risk involved, right?
Yeah, I guess I get what you're saying. I also feel like, to counter that, like, with the way Logan was looking, that it could have been a wasted opportunity as well, right? Like, if Floyd chose not to attack, that would have been worth having a guy that was so fatigued and so out of it and looked so depleted, to give him that opportunity, 2 more rounds to bounce back.
Of course, but he's so calculated. Like, he just knows.
Yeah.
Like, he knows what's gonna happen. Like, he's able to calculate down the road in a fight exactly what's gonna happen and calculate the percentage of him winning, right? Like, he's never gone for broke, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's fought 147 pounders. He's only knocked out one of them in his last 10, 15 fights, right?
Zane
like, he's never taken that risk.
Zane is like, my man is Ben Stiller in the Long King Poly, assessing every risk in every possible life insurance.
He's honestly, that's what he is. Like, he's just like, I'm gonna fucking cruise. I'm gonna take my fucking money. I'd rather, if people want to say something, that's fine, but I'm not getting fucking hit in the face.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You got like, paid.
I got my money. Yeah, I'm good. I'm chilling.
Yeah. So,
I've had so many girls pass out during Mayweather fights when we've had parties.
And here's the other thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but, like, here's the problem, right? People are complaining about Floyd because Floyd has never gotten his fucking respect in his whole life, because they chalk up his 20 years of his career to hugging, and, like, you read the comments on anything. Oh, God bless Manny Pacquiao. I love Manny Pacquiao. All Floyd does run and hug. Like, and I've been watching this motherfucker fight forever. I've never seen any of the stuff that they say, but, like, Floyd Mayweather deserves to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Absolutely.
At this point, he's taken on, people don't realize how many risks he's taken on his career, how many great fighters he fought, And he made a point. He was like, when I fought this guy and that guy and that guy, when I was the underdog, and when I took on all the fucking hard challenges, I made no money. Right? It wasn't until I turned into Money Floyd Mayweather and was more calculated, became my own boss, that I started making money. Before that, nobody gave a shit about me. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So Logan's brother, Jake Paul, we talked about him in the Tyron Woodley fight coming up August 28th. Not much going on there. Jake did predict a second round knockout. Woodley laughed it off in a video and used an Ali quote. He said, "If you ever dream of knocking me out, you better wake up and apologize." But of
Very
course,
original.
Some old school shit my dad said.
Yeah.
Coming off what?
You see me fighting the bear, better pray for the bear.
I don't need the help.
Yeah, I don't need the help.
But yeah, a lot of yapping for what he's lost. What, 4 or 5 straight fights?
Yes, but
but
it still should be fun. I think. I mean,
it should be fun.
He's a striker in MMA,
yeah.
So
yeah. And this is, again, just to be clear, this is a straight boxing match, right? This is not. So
as far as I'm aware,
he's gonna be limited to just boxing moves.
Nah, full WWE last man standing.
Right.
No holds barred.
Is that it for boxing and MMA? Anything else to
quickly run through it? I think we got Adesanya fighting this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Shit. Yeah, we got Adesanya versus Vittoria.
The rematch.
The rematch fighting this weekend. Anytime you can watch Adesanya, you watch that fight. And then we got McGregor next month. We got a few other big fights coming up, and we got Fury Wilder, which has been confirmed for July 24th.
So Gervonta Davis is fighting on the 26th, June 26th.
He's fighting on the 26th. He's fighting an undefeated fighter, I want to say. So that's going to be somewhat of a challenge. And then we got Teofimo Lopez fighting on Triller sometime soon. So it's a lot of good fights this summer. But for this weekend, it's going to be Adesanya. So let's see what happens.
Real quick, speaking of Triller, did you hear they bought the Big Three League?
Really?
Yeah.
They bought it from Ice Cube?
I believe so, yeah. I think he was still the owner at the time. Partner with him? Okay.
Yeah, so he's partner. That should be interesting.
I'm interested in seeing what they do on the entertainment side with Big Three.
Yeah, I like the ambition.
Cool. Yeah.
I like the idea of taking a risk and trying to get into that different sphere.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Righty. Speaking of entertainment, I'm gonna switch gears. Theater. All right. Neil, you are catching up on the Watchmen on HBO. It's lone season that aired in 2019. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, this review actually circles us back to the Tulsa Massacre timeline as well.
Yeah.
Did you watch the whole season? How'd you like it?
Yeah, so, for me, I was on a 7-day free trial of HBO because I needed to watch the Friends reunion. So I was like, okay, I got a few more days of this. What can I watch?
Could you be any more cheap, Neil?
I'm Gujarati. That's what we do. But so I was like,
History Channel subscription and shit, like damn, man.
Watchmen, is a short 1 season, 9-episode show, about an hour long each, and like you said, it has to do with the survivor of the Tulsa race massacre, who then goes on to have a granddaughter who becomes a cop, and her job trying to take down what's called as the 7th Cavalry, which is essentially a present day white supremacist group, in their whole plot. And it's a bit sci-fi, but there are a lot of good aspects of information in there, and entertaining show. I watched it once, and it was a good show, good use of my time, but probably not something I'm gonna necessarily watch again.
Yeah, is that the single one and only season?
Yeah, that's it. There's no more.
Okay. Did anybody know Watchmen or read Watchmen or watch?
I only knew about it because Zane put it on my queue, so I was like, all right, let's knock it out.
But if you're referring to the comics, like the comic backend of
comics,
yeah, I had a very, very limited. I had a little working knowledge of it, but not much. Not much before I watched the series myself.
Black system.
Yeah.
Neil, question for you. Do you think that they could have continued the series? Because some people it was very split. I remember after the finale on should they do a season 2? Is there enough story to go into season 2, or was it? Should we get more comfortable with series officially ending after one season? Just nail your whole story and drop it there. Just leave it as a standalone.
Yeah, like I would feel more of the latter. Like I'm sure they could have found a way to spin it off and have a second season if they wanted to, but it would have been diminishing returns, right? Like it wouldn't have been as good as the first season.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those who haven't watched Watchmen on HBO, and in the spirit of HBO shows, we wanted to go ahead and rank our favorite HBO produced shows that we've watched. Obviously, we've been recapping them over the weeks, various shows, some of us playing catch up. And obviously, some of us have watched more HBO shows than others. I'm ready to take that heat. That's fine. But we've all had our share of HBO viewing. So let's go ahead and get right to it. I've watched probably 5 or 6 HBO shows through all the way from beginning to end, coast to coast, and many others, tidbits here and there. Started a season, stopped halfway. I'm gonna go ahead and rank mine first. Obviously, I'm gonna go with Wire at number 1.
Obviously.
I don't know. You have an incomplete at your number 1.
I have a number 2. I have an incomplete at number 2, and I was wondering how I was gonna play this, because not having completed Sopranos and only being in season 2.5.
Shame.
I would have to presumably put it at number 2, right? Like that's just how it's going to end, right? I mean, you guys.
He hasn't even fully watched the show, and he's already put it at number 2.
And listen, hey, we're getting there.
I mean, it's going to be top 2.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just being honest, bro.
I put Game of Thrones 3rd because that's just how I feel. It's how the show just resonated with me, and how I felt about it, regardless of how badly it ended. Game of Thrones, in terms of like how its attraction to me as a show, from a production standpoint, from characters, different character arcs and storylines. I love open world shows where you can really dive deep into the fiction world that they've created, and Westeros provides all of that. You can go into the Westeros map for days upon days, maybe weeks upon weeks, before you cover it all. I also love shows that have a strong prequel that kind of go thousands and thousands of years prior to where we are now. It just gives you a lot more content, and different perspectives on how things unfold. And so that's kind of what saved Game of Thrones for me. How badly it ended was how the prequel, and you can make so many different spin-offs of the show just based on different houses and different times of history or marks in history. So I put GOT 3rd. Curb comes fourth for me.
Nice.
Another one of those shows where just the comedic value is unmatched.
Yep.
The 5th one, I'm gonna catch shit for it. Eastbound and Down. I put that number 5. Again, I haven't watched a lot of other HBO shows, but Eastbound and Down, again.
This is your favorites, right?
This is my favorites, right? It's my favorites, but it's also the ones that I've watched like more closely and more habitually than others. And Eastbound and Down was one of those. It just really triggered that stupid funny for me. It brought out a side of me, like just watching Kenny Powers and just being just completely belligerent in 95% of his scenes. Of course, and then the cameos with I always call him the black dude from The Office. I never know his real name. And
Stanley?
Stanley. No, not Stanley. From the warehouse. He was
Daryl?
Yeah, Daryl. So those are my 5. I got some honorable mentions. Larry Sanders Show is up there.
Wow.
A classic. Veep.
Definitely.
Oz. True Detective was good. A few seasons. Ali G,
First
of course.
season.
And some of the real deep honorable mentions. Barry and Westworld. So It was my top 5, and I'm sticking to it.
Westworld had so much promise, man.
Yeah.
First season was some of the best TV I've ever seen. Anyway. All right. I guess I'll go next.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll start with my honorable mentions. I'm going to go from 5 to 1. So I'll start honorable mentions. Mine are honorables are Succession, personal favorite already. Industry, which is a very underrated show. The British kind of young Wall Street associate type of, shark show. Really, really good. If you didn't watch it, I highly encourage it. It's an easy watch. And True Detective. Season 1, True Detective. Again, some of the best TV I've seen.
Good.
The rest is a little, kind of hit or miss after that, but still, I don't take anything away from it. All right. Now, number 5 is Watchmen. I love Watchmen. I thought it was great. I'm not a big comic guy, but I was able to kind of follow the story pretty well. Regina King, breakout performance for her, for sure. And the episode on the Hood of Justice origin story, the episode was called This Extraordinary Being. That's the one that took place in black and white. If you haven't seen that, don't skip around in the series, but please know that that's one of my favorite TV episodes ever, like of all time, any show. Nice. Number 4 is Euphoria. I don't know if anybody watched Euphoria. That's the kind of young high school coming of age type of show. Stars Zendaya. She puts on a fucking phenomenal performance. That's when I really, really became a true fan of hers. I think season 2 got stalled somewhere, but I feel like it'll be back at some point in the near future. But fantastic show, just very beautifully shot, and some kind of hard to watch scenes in there deals with like things like possible rape and sexual assault and heavy drug use and all like really, really heavy themes. But it's a really, really good show. 3, Game of Thrones, same rationale as Abdullah. Started strong, fell apart at the end, but you cannot take away the remarkable things about the show: the writing, the costume design, the art direction, the setting, like everything. It's a tour de force. And my number 2 is Lovecraft Country. Huge fan of that show. We talk about Tulsa Massacre. Lots of stuff woven into that show. Also, it dealt with horror. It was a lot of kind of genre blending for that show. Fantastic. And then my number 1 is The Wire, the official show of the Participation Trophy podcast.
Official show. Cool.
Yeah. All right, that's mine.
All right.
Zane want to go next, or does he want to go last as the...
I'll go last. Steal some of your ideas.
Okay, the official connoisseur. So for me, I've probably not even seen 10 HBO shows, so my list is a little bit, slim pickings, but I would say number 1, Sopranos. To me, it is so action-packed, at every turn.
My boy.
It was probably one of the high points of the pandemic for me. Then after that, The Wire, 1A and 1B really is what they are. The Wire obviously has a much more of, kind of societal issues and impact on things, and, pretty eye-opening, as I know Zane would talk about. I suppose.
And I want my corner 3s.
Number 3 for me, I think also, Game of Thrones, just incredible television, the first, 6+ seasons. And, there's just no taking away from that. I really enjoyed, I started binging it probably midway through season 6. Season 6 had already started, and I binged that shit and caught up, I think probably for the Battle of the Bastards, 6-9 of that episode of that season. Number 4, I'll probably go with Succession. Just a couple seasons, but damn, that season 2 ending, I was like, oh shit.
That show's so good.
That show's fucking
So good. I was skeptical.
Season 3 coming out late 2021, but who fucking knows?
Fast forward, please.
Please.
So fucking good. Sorry,
I was a little skeptical at first. Zane, again, of course, put me onto it, but this show turned out to be really good. At first, I thought, man, Roman's such an annoying fuck. But then I was like,
they're annoying.
Around on him, didn't
the
you?
first 2-3 episodes, I'm like, I can't fucking handle these people, dude. But then
Roman's the main dude.
No.
Oh, no.
So Macaulay Culkin's a brother, younger, but he's like a fucking smart ass all the time.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Ziggy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll say number 5 for me to mix it up a little bit, and just because I'm a big Kaylee Cuoco fan from Big Bang Theory, I'll say Flight Attendant.
You dirty boy, you.
Yeah.
She got some of them leaked photos on the internet.
Oh, so that's what I'm doing after this is over?
Yeah.
The main picture for Flight Attendant, like when you're on the HBO app, very intriguing, but I've never seen
You're
it.
sick.
Basically the heel coming off the foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it. Our top fives. That was a good segment. I like that.
You're just gonna skip over Zane?
Oh shit!
Yeah.
He said we're running late.
I was gonna put Game of Thrones in my shit.
We're a $1.50 over here, man.
Fuck it.
Hey, you're the main event, man. Go ahead.
All right. Honorable mentions. I decided not to include any unfinished shows or one season shows, but I want to mention them. I'm gonna go Succession. I think Succession, if it keeps on this pace, it's gonna be hands down in my top 5. If it keeps on this pace, it's gonna be in my top 3. I don't think it will for a lot of reasons. I just have low expectations because it's been so fucking good, and I don't really see where the story goes from here. But if you haven't seen it, a must watch. It's just it just has that X factor. I'm gonna put Sharp Objects in there also. I really enjoyed Sharp Objects this year with Amy Adams. Puts on a great performance.
Was there only one season of that show?
Has that murder mystery in the town with the grizzled female detective shit going on, but it does it really well. So I'm gonna go with that as an honorable mention. I'm gonna throw The Leftovers in there as an honorable mention also. The Leftovers is an amazing show, semi sci-fi. It's basically about one day half of the population of the world just disappears off the face of the earth, and that's pretty much where the show starts, right? But it's such a deep and complex and it's the most challenging show. It's so challenging that I love the show and I haven't finished season 3 yet.
Yeah.
Because I can't emotionally, mentally get there to watch it. Like, it's that much reward and discipline and all that shit. Like, you really got to stick with it. Great show. Honorable mention. Number 5, I'm gonna go 6 Feet Under. 6 Feet Under is one of the shows that was on at the same time as The Wire and Sopranos. It's one of my favorite shows ever. It's a very deep show, very good cast. It's basically about a family that owns a funeral home, and in the first episode, the father, the patriarch of the family, is killed in a car accident that happens off the top, and it's basically how the family is kind of recovering from that while still having to run their business and dealing with all the bullshit, that they deal with. Right. And they're all a little fucked up. The cast is great. You got Peter Krause, Nate Fisher, he's amazing. Michael C. Hall's in it. And there's a bunch of other smaller character actors you'll probably notice in there that are spectacular. So I put that number 5. Number 4, I'm gonna go Curb. I'm gonna go Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's been going on 10 plus seasons. It's the greatest comedy show ever, probably. It's like Seinfeld with curse words and sexual innuendos. And then third, I don't want to put it up there, but Game of Thrones has got to be number 3. I'm not.
Wow.
This is like a compilation. It's not as much my favorite. Like, I'll never watch it again. But the quality of the first 4.5 seasons, I remember watching it like after season 4 ended and was like, okay, I could put this up next to The Wire and Sopranos. I could match it up and it could compete. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could go 12 rounds. After that, I have a lot of thoughts on it, but just how great the first 4 seasons were for 4.5, maybe even 5 seasons. It's just I can't leave it off, right? So that's my number 3. So we got 6 Feet Under, 5, 4 is Curb, 3 is Game of Thrones. Number 2 is gonna be The Wire. We've already talked ad nauseum about The Wire. There's nothing really more to say. There's nothing more to say about it. It's just so fucking good. But this is the timeless conversation.
I'm surprised you put that too. I feel like you talk about The Wire so much more than what your number 1 is.
Yeah, but you still have homework
because
to
you've
do.
seen it. Because you've seen it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a difference. Like, I talk more about The Sopranos with my friends than I do about The Wire, because the difference is like it's a preference thing, right? Like, we talk about it all the time. What's better, Sopranos, Wire? Like, we alternate days, like how we feel about it. Like, and like one person said I think it was something on Reddit, said it was like The Wire's the best show about people, Sopranos is the best show about a person, right? And for me, I like character studies. I like locking in on one person just as much as I like the overall breadth and depth of The Wire. I think The Wire's a better show,
I get what you're saying.
Sopranos is number 1 for me. Like, James Gandolfini, that's the best single character acting performance, character performance,
It's just-
single
it's
best
just-
character
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
Hands down. There's no fucking competition. I don't like even I don't like you have to watch it to understand like the breadth and the depth of the performance, like down to every mannerism, the way he breathes, the way he walks.
Everything revolves around him. Right. Yeah.
Everything revolves around him, but like you learn it so well just by watching, where you can tap into every emotion he's having. Like the performance is like, you know what I'm saying? Like I think somebody had once written like, you know, I've seen Michael Jordan play basketball, I've seen Jacques Pepin make an omelet, and I've seen Tony James Gandolfini act, and that's all I need. You know what I mean? Like that's what I know, right? So like Sopranos is number one for me because of that performance. Emotionally, I just connect to it so much. Like I've cried in that show. I fucking laugh my ass. Like that's the funniest. That show is just as funny as Curb. Like if you really are into writing, you know what I'm saying? Like Screenwriters Guild Association that gave it number one best written show ever. It's pop culture. Like it's ingrained in pop culture. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know. Yeah, Neil can understand. He's seen it. Just like the fucking, just like every line is just either funny or poignant or it deserves some sort of second look. So it's number one for me, hands down. So if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it.
Abdullah.
Well, hey, listen, man.
Jamal.
One day.
I don't know. Jamal might be a lost cause, but I'm getting there. Slowly but surely, and you guys keep distracting me with these other, like the way you guys talked about Succession, and I've seen the earlier stages.
That's why he pulls in different directions.
Listen, man. Hey, listen, it's so tough to just between getting porn time in and you got 2 kids.
Yeah, here we go. Hey, don't start. You fucking finished The Wire, so I don't want to hear shit.
I know. You're right. The Wire was just, I don't know. I don't know. And I get what you're saying, and I'm excited for Sopranos because of what you're. Listen, hey, stop shaking your head, motherfucker. All right, we're pushing 2 hours here. All right,
go.
Don't piss me off now.
Go on.
Right?
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I'm very intrigued by the way you describe the differences between why The Wire is the GOAT and why Sopranos is the GOAT, right? A show about people versus a show about a person, right? And you're absolutely right about The Wire. It's about people. It's so many different vantage points that are intertwined. Different people in different places, different ranks on the street, in the courthouse, so on and so forth. For Sopranos to be so focused on one single character and have the entire show revolve around it, and I've seen it through 2 seasons.
Well, there's more to it than that, but yes,
of course there is. Yeah,
he's the main character. Everything revolves around him.
Yeah, it's always around him, right? I mean, The Wire, you've got you get attached to Stringer and Avon and Omar and McNulty and all these guys, right? And then McNulty goes away an entire season, right? For one,
it's
Omar
great.
Goes away for episodes at a time. Avon and Stringer are gone after 3. So I get it.
Of course.
I'm excited.
But like
excited to finish
those issues in The Wire, like there's just different stuff in Sopranos that you don't get. Like one of my boys watched it and he was just like, this is amazing. Like without being heavy-handed, without being over the top, the show, goes into marriage, into raising kids, into politics, into, obviously the mechanisms of the mafia, into addiction, into, like seamlessly, you know what I mean? So once you see it, you're getting to the meat of the show,
right?
But I don't want you to just like go through it like just to get it over with. Like you really have to pay attention, just like you have to do The Wire.
I would never do that. No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and the same writers that write about The Wire, they write twice as much about The Sopranos, right?
Okay.
And they're all split across the board of which one's better, but yeah,
we're getting there, and we will get there.
And then Succession after that.
Succession, is that it? Is that the one after that? 'Cause I had Mad Men on my queue next.
I don't know if you'll. Mad Men's my number 3 all time, but I don't know if you'll appreciate it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
all dialogue. There's no fucking flair. It's all dialogue. It's like 7 pieces of dialogue.
Struggle with that show.
I've watched a few episodes. I've enjoyed it.
It's amazing. It's fucking amazing. It's number 3 on my list, but
straight.
You haven't seen it.
Well, there you have it. That's our rankings. We're sticking to it. We had some conservatives in detention, but Jamal's mic decided to crap out on him.
Sorry.
So Trump is watching.
Conspiracy or no? Steve Bannon might have fucking tapped into our fucking
pulled the cord.
Or Zencaster or Zoom.
We gotta stop sharing our agenda on Google Drive and shit, man.
Yeah.
So what
if we were hacked?
What if Bannon just had a dude who just went around just looking for different podcast content?
Okay, those motherfuckers can barely even like piece together their fucking audio and video and anything. If they had the ability to do this shit.
Yeah. So this is like early release, man. Conservatives, you're off the hook.
Yeah.
We're gonna let you slide this time. Jamal just sitting there looking dumb, just like fuck, man.
And I would have got away with it too.
But that's a wrap, man. For episode 34, Participation Trophy Podcast, covered a lot here. I am Abdullah, Zain Zaidi, Neil Dalal, Jamal. He's on the cyber wave somewhere. He's there somewhere. Catch y'all next week.